Hello, good morning students. In the previous video, I have explained about the class 7 history chapter 5 rulers and buildings first part over. So in the construction style, how the rulers they have focused on the construction style, the architecture style and the tribute style, everything we have discussed, and the temples construction also. For example, this Kandariya Mahadeva temple and the Rajarajeshwara temple also we have discussed. Now let's see about other constructions. Two technological and stylistic developments are noticeable from the 12th century. So in the 12th century we can observe two technological skills. The weight of the superstructure above the doors and windows was sometimes carried by arches. So the weight on the superstructure it was lifted by the archives. That means this dome shaped constructions. See, they have given this picture also. Okay, like this. And the second point is this architectural form was called arcuate. This type of construction was called as arcuate. A-R-C-U-A-T-E, arcuate. Second one, limestone cement was increasingly used in construction. So this arcade style was the first point, and the second one, they have used limestone for construction of these buildings. They have used limestone. Okay. This was very high quality cement which when mixed with stone chips hardened into concrete. So this limestone cement we should say. Okay. When this was mixed with chips, it will harden and it will become a strong hard cement, concrete. This made construction of large structures easier and faster. Take a look at the construction site in figure 6. Okay, this is the figure 6, children. See this one, how they have used limestone and so many workers are working on the constructions and it made easier using this limestone cement. Okay, next. Building temples, mosques and tanks. So till now we have discussed about the forts and some few temples only. Now the valid explanation of this construction we are going to learn. Temples and mosques were beautifully constructed because they were places of worship. Why they have focused on this? Because they are the places of worship. They were also meant to demonstrate the power, wealth and devotion of the patron. So whoever the king, how much devotion he has towards the god and how much care he is showing, like that everything will represent in temples, these mosques. Take the example of the Rajarajeshwara temple. An inscription mentions that it was built by King Rajaraja Deva for the worship of his god Rajarajeshwaram. So, if we see, yesterday I have explained this, said this, Rajarajeshwara king. He is king. King name was also Rajarajeshwara. In Rajarajeshwaram. The place name also same, God's name. And the idol, that means the Lord name also Rajarajeshwara. King name, God name and the place name. Three were same only. Notice how the names of the ruler and the god are very similar. So the ruler name and the god name and the place name, how they are similar. The king took the god's name because it was auspicious and he wanted to appear like a god. So here why he has kept this name, God's name, because he wants to appear like a god. Through the rituals of worship in the temple, one god honored another. So here Rajarajeshwara god is offered ritual by King Rajarajeshwara. That means one god is offering prayer to another god. Like that, he wants to appear. The largest temples were all constructed by kings. The other lesser deities in the temple were gods and goddesses of the allies and subordinates of the ruler. So, all these temples, all the buildings, the temples were constructed by many kings only. Remaining other people who were involved are all are his subordinates, gods and goddesses. The temple was a miniature model of the world ruled by the king and his allies. So, here one more point you have to notice that the temple construction also a miniature model to his kingdom. Miniature model to his kingdom. Like that, they use it to construct the temples. If they see the temple means the model of his kingdom also should be get an idea. Like that, they have done. As they worshipped their deities together in the royal temples, it seemed as if they brought the just rule of the gods on earth. After entering into the temples, after looking at the temples, the people should get an idea that how much care the king is showing towards his people, that devotional feeling should appear in the minds of the people. Like that, they have taken care of the construction of the temples. Muslim sultans and pashas did not claim to be incarnations of God, but Persian court chronicles described the sultan as the shadow of God. So, all these feelings in the construction of temples only. Then what about the mosques? Because in Muslims, they were not that much interested. Because, why? Here, Persian chronicles, that means the historians, what they have written writings, in that they described the sultan as the shadow of the god. King was the sultan means here Muslim king, so he was the shadow of the god. An inscription in the Kawat al-Islam mosque explained that God chose Alauddin as a king because he had the qualities of Moses and Solomon, the great lawgivers of the past. Okay, so in Kawat al-Islam mosque explained one inscription was there in that masjid. In that, what they have said, the God has given the right to, God chose Alauddin as a king. Alauddin ni oka king ga select chesaru. He had the qualities of Moses and Solomon. Moses and Solomon means they are also gods. The great lawgivers of the past. What the past lawgivers, they used to do justice to the people. So, the Solomon and Moses. He created the world out of chaos and introduced order and symmetry. So, the God has created the world out of symmetry, the pains, the griefs, out of, order. How the people should live, with what morals the people should live in society. Everything was given in the form of these Qawwalis. Okay, next. As each new dynasty came to power, kings wanted to emphasize their moral right to be rulers. Constructing places of worship provided rulers with the chance to proclaim their close relationship with God, especially important in an age of rapid political change. Rulers also offered patronage to the learned and pious and tried to transform their capitals and cities into great cultural centers that brought fame to their rule and their realm. Okay, as see, one king after another king will come. So, as a new dynasty are coming, kings wanted to emphasize their moral right to be rulers. So, one king, after one king, the new king will come. So, they wanted to create an feeling that he is better than the past king. Like that, every kings tried to do their best to the peoples in their order and looking after the people of their kingdoms. Constructing places of worship provided rulers with the chance to proclaim their close relationship with God. So, to win the belief of the people, what they have done, they have constructed many worship places. Okay, like example, temples and mosques. And they wanted to, by constructing these temples and mosques, they wanted to show their belief and their devotion to the god, how much devotion they are having towards the god. They want to show to their people. Rulers also offered patronage to the learned and pious and tried to transform their capitals and cities into great cultural centers that brought fame to their rule and their realm. So, what all these people they have done, all the kings, they have given importance to these temples and mosques, and they have offered patronage, and they have given respect to the priests and the mosques people. That means ulama and these all the priests who were worshipping in temples and mosques, and they got fame to their kingdom also by doing all these construction of temples and mosques. It was widely believed that the rule of a just king would be an age of plenty when the heavens would not withhold rain. At the same time, making precious water available by constructing tanks and reservoirs was highly prized. So, only construction of temples with these people's problems will not be solved. So, if rainwater is not there, if crops are good, people will be feel happy and they will focus on God. But if there is no water, then how the crops will come? So, what they have, the kings they have done, they have constructed many tanks and wells and reservoirs to store the water so that the farmers and the people can use those water for their needs. And by after the construction they got the prize of the people also. Why they got the prize? Because they have done good to people. Sultan Iltutmish won universal respect for constructing a large reservoir just outside Delhi-e-Kunha. So here Sultan Iltutmish, he has constructed a large reservoir outside of the Delhi to store water to complete the needs of the Delhi people. Okay. It was called the Hauz-e-Sultani or the King's Reservoir. So, that reservoir has two names. What are they? Hauz-e-Sultani. That reservoir name, Hauz-e-Sultani. Hauz-e-Sultani or King's Reservoir. Two names. This was as big that the people, so many people admired him for his vision to construct that reservoir that much big and to complete the needs. Can you find it on map 1 in chapter 3? Rulers often constructed tanks and reservoirs big and small for use by ordinary people. Why the sultans and kings they have constructed? To use, for the use of people, so that the people can complete their needs. Sometimes these tanks and reservoirs were part of a temple, mosque or gurudwara. So of course if they have not built the reservoir outside, in the part of construction of temples and mosques, they have constructed these tanks, reservoirs and tanks in the construction of tanks and temple, mosques or a gurudwara. In those places, worshipping place, near worshipping place only, they use it to construct tanks. Why were temples destroyed? Till now we have discussed about the construction of temples. Now the question they have asked, why the temples were destructed? Why? What happened? Let's see. Because kings built temples to demonstrate their devotion to God and their power and wealth. It is not surprising that when they attacked one another's kingdoms, they often targeted these buildings. So here, why they have done like this? Because if one king after another king will come now, okay, king after king, they do battles and one by one they will occupy. So when one king fights battle, they targeted on the construction of these temples. They targeted on the temples and mosques, because they have inscripted so much wealth, so much gold on those temples, idols, gold idols and diamonds and precious stones they have kept in those temples. That's why these kings attacked those temples. In the early 9th century, when the Pandyan king Srimara Srivallabha invaded Sri Lanka and defeated the chronicler Dhammakirti noted, he removed all the valuables. The statue of the Buddha made entirely of gold in the jewel palace and the golden images in the various monasteries, all these he seized. So, one inscription says that Pandyan king. Who was that Pandyan king? Srimara Srivallabha. Okay. Pandyan king Srimara Srivallabha. He invaded which kingdom? He invaded the kingdom Sri Lanka. He invaded Sri Lanka. That means he attacked Sri Lanka and he has seized. That means he has looted so many idols, gold idols. Whose idols? Buddhists. Buddha. The statue of the Buddha made entirely of gold, golden statue. Buddha's golden statue and so many gold idols. This Srimara Srivallabha invaded. When he invaded Sri Lanka, he has looted those gold idols. The blow to the pride of the Simhalese ruler had to be avenged, and the next Simhalese ruler, Senatu, ordered his general to invade Madurai, the capital of the Pandyas. So, when Srimara Srivallabha invaded Sri Lanka, he looted. Then, after this Sri Lanka king, who was he? Senatu. After he became as king, he ordered his general to attack Madhura kingdom. Attack Madhura. Here Srimara Srivallabha kingdom was Madhura. He was a Pandyan king. So here Senatu again asked his general to attack this Pandyan kingdom Madhura. Why? Because already from Sri Lanka this Pandyan king looted so many gold idols and so much wealth. So after Senatu came as a Sri Lanka king, he again attacked that Madhura kingdom. The Buddhist chronicler noted that the expedition made a special effort to find and restore the gold statue of the Buddha. So they were successful in getting back their Buddha golden statue. Similarly, in the early 11th century, when the Chola king Rajendra I built a Shiva temple in his capital, he filled it with prized statues seized from defeated rulers. So, in 11th century, Chola king Rajendra I, he has constructed a Shiva temple. By that time, what he had in how many kingdoms he looted, from there whatever he collected, the gold and precious stones, he has kept all those gold and stones in this Shiva temple, in the decoration of Shiva temple. An incomplete list included a sun pedestal from the Chalukyas, a Ganesh statue and several statues of Durga, a Nandi statue from the eastern Chalukyas, an image of Bhairava and Bhairavi from the Kalingas of Orissa. See, from all these places, one image he brought. Chalukyas. Okay. Chalukya. From Chalukya kingdom, he has sun pedestal. That means sun. The god is sun. Sun's idol. And Ganesha statue and several statues of Durga. Okay. So, sun god statue, Ganesha statue and several statues of Durga Devi. And a Nandi statue from the eastern Chalukyas. Nandi. Nandi, you know, no? Okay. And an image of Bhairava and Bhairavi from the Kalingas of Orissa. And a Kali statue from the Palace of Bengal. So, from different dynasties, whatever he collected, he looted. From all the places, he collected those idols and he kept in his kingdom temples. Who? Rajendra I, Chola king. Sultan Muhammad of Ghazni was a contemporary of Rajendra I. That means Rajendra I, how many kingdoms he looted, how much wealth. That means by the time that was amazed. That was a pride movement, because he, with his power and courage, he has looted all the kingdoms and brought. So, similarly, like this Rajendra one more Muslim king was there. Who was he? Sultan Muhammad of Ghazni. During his campaigns in the subcontinent, he also attacked the temples of defeated kings and looted their wealth and idols. So, Ghazni also looted so many Indian temples and looted wealth. Sultan Muhammad was not a very important ruler at the time, but by destroying temples, especially the one at Somanath, he tried to win credit as a great hero of Islam. So, actually, he was not that much famous, but continuously he attacked only one temple in India, that was Somanath temple. He looted Somanath temple for 17 times. So, every year he used to attack the temple and he looted the wealth accumulated in that temple. So, by attacking several times, he became a Muslim hero. In the political culture of the Middle Ages, most rulers displayed their political might and military success by attacking and looting the places of worship of defeated rulers. So, by attacking, by doing such things, they got the famous in their period. Okay, this was the content, children. Next part I will explain in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.